Welcome to True Echo, where the voices of justice, truth, and heart speak louder than bias. In today's story, a walk home from the park turns into a viral headline when one woman's quiet joy is mistaken for something sinister. But the truth? It's more powerful than anyone expected. Stay with us. It started with laughter. Not the kind that echoes off nightclub walls or breaks out on game nights. No, this was smaller, softer, laughter born from simple joy. A giggle that floated through Nash Square Park in Raleigh like spring breeze. Denise Walker sat cross-legged on a well-loved plaid blanket, brushing cracker crumbs off her jeans while her daughter, Lily, leaned forward to hand a crust to a squirrel. The squirrel wasn't shy. It darted close, snatched the bread like a thief in a heist movie, and sprinted toward the trees. "Mom!" He really took it. Lily squealed. Denise grinned. "Well, baby, you offered. He just has good taste." They were a striking pair, Denise, a black woman in her mid-30s with soft locks tied back in a scarf, and Lily, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed 6-year-old with grass-stained knees and a chalky smile. To anyone watching, they were joy in motion. But in this world, joy doesn't always walk without interruption. After drawing chalk animals near the fountain and munching turkey sandwiches beneath the towering oaks, Denise packed up the picnic. Lily insisted on carrying the light basket. "You got it, helper," Denise said warmly, ruffling her hair. They walked through their neighborhood, where flags fluttered on porches and wind chimes whispered over rose bushes. Lily walked backward for a few steps, arms wide like she was on stage. "I'm gonna ask Miss Carmen if I can play with Riley tomorrow." "Only if you clean your room first," Denise answered with a wink. As they passed a white house with blue shutters and a dusty Easter wreath still hanging, Denise felt something shift. She caught a flicker of movement behind the window curtain. A woman, mid-50s, pale, her lips thin as her expression, watching them. Denise didn't flinch. Didn't pause. But the stare, it had weight. A kind of gravity you learn to sense if you've ever had your presence questioned just for existing. They turned the corner, laughter still on their lips, just one block from home. What they didn't know was that the woman behind the curtain, Susan Whitmore, was already dialing 911. "There's a little girl with a woman who doesn't look like her," Susan said calmly into the phone. "She seems nervous." The dispatcher asked more questions. Susan didn't have clear answers. Just words like, "felt off," and, "just being cautious." The problem wasn't the volume of her voice, it was the precision. Controlled. Sharpened. And heavy with judgment dressed up as concern. Susan didn't know Denise. Had never said hello. She'd only seen them at a distance. In her mind, people like Denise didn't belong walking down suburban sidewalks with girls who didn't match. It wasn't about danger. Not really. It was about difference, and discomfort with it. Meanwhile, Denise and Lily reached the corner of Evergreen and Baywood. Lily was humming a cartoon theme, her little legs swinging. That's when the police cruisers turned the corner. 2 cars. They pulled in fast, blocking the sidewalk. Denise's heart thumped once, hard. She reached for Lily's hand. "Stay close, okay?" 2 officers stepped out. Professional. Serious. Not hostile, not yet. "Ma'am," the male officer called, "can we speak with you for a second?" Denise didn't move forward. "Sure. What's going on?" "We got a call, possible child abduction." The words rang like sirens. Denise crouched to Lily's level. "It's okay, baby. Just hold my hand." Then she stood, reached into her tote, and handed over a worn folder, adoption papers. IDs. Birth certificate. Proof. Not of love, but of legal rights. The officers reviewed the documents. Cross-checked names, addresses. Everything lined up. The tension began to thin, but not disappear. I appreciate your cooperation, the officer finally said. Sorry for the inconvenience. Denise's jaw tightened. Do I get to know who made the call? We're not allowed to share that information. Of course not. She turned to Lily. Let's go home. As they walked away, Denise felt the eyes again. Not police. Something else. The story wasn't over, it was only beginning. Susan watched the scene unfold through her Ring doorbell camera. She hadn't expected it to escalate so fast. Hadn't expected the aftermath. But the footage was there, clear, damning. And it didn't stay private. That night, Denise sat at her kitchen table staring at her phone. Her neighbor, Monique, had sent a message. Girl, check next door. She posted the footage. The video, clipped from Susan's porch cam, was posted anonymously to a local Facebook group. Captioned, Strange Encounter on Evergreen. Just being safe. But the visuals told a story, a mother and daughter. Police. A folder of proof. And a child clinging to her mom's side, confused. Denise's hands shook. Comments poured in. She's at the park every week with that kid. Why does she have to carry adoption papers? Better safe than sorry, others wrote. The next morning, Monique stormed in without knocking. You okay? Denise nodded, but her voice was brittle. I shouldn't have to be a pro at this. They talked for hours. Then the questions turned to Susan. She recognized Lily, Monique said flatly. She deleted a comment where someone asked why she posted it. She's hiding something. Denise didn't understand yet. But something in her gut tightened. Across the street, Susan Whitmore sat on her couch in silence, a manila envelope unopened on her lap and the video playing for the fourth time that morning. She didn't flinch when the cops arrived on screen. She watched herself in the reflection of the window, pacing nervously behind the curtain. She hadn't said anything to Mark, her husband. How could she explain it? That moment of fear, recognition, shame. She had seen that child before. Not in person. Not recently. But in a photo, years ago. She went upstairs, opened the hallway closet, reached for the top shelf. The box was still there. Inside, tucked between old greeting cards and unopened letters, was a photo, her younger sister Kendra, smiling weakly in a hospital bed, a tiny baby in her arms. Susan traced the face with her finger. That baby was Lily. She was certain of it now. She remembered the addiction, the late-night calls, the final one that said Kendra was gone, overdose. And the baby? The system had placed her for adoption. Susan had cried, begged, but she hadn't met the criteria. No legal rights. No backup plan. And no name for the family who adopted her. So she let it go. Until yesterday, when the past came skipping up the sidewalk, swinging a picnic basket and laughing beside a mother Susan didn't know. Except she had known. Not Denise. But Lily. Her face. Kendra's face. And she'd panicked. Instead of saying something, she called the cops. And now, the world knew. Denise was sitting on her front steps when the first journalist knocked. She hadn't returned calls. Hadn't responded to emails. But the story had exploded, Reddit threads, Facebook reposts, even a mention on Twitter's trending sidebar. Mom accused of abducting daughter, proves truth with paperwork. She hadn't asked to be an example. But now, it was too late to remain silent. That evening, she opened her laptop and began drafting a statement. I didn't want to go viral. I just wanted to walk home. Lily was upstairs asleep, wrapped in her favorite blanket. Denise reread the line. Then deleted it. Started again. This time, she wrote from the core. My daughter is not a puzzle piece you have to rearrange until the colors match. She is mine. And I am hers. She closed the laptop and went to bed. The next morning, Susan stood on Denise's porch. Denise opened the door slowly. She wasn't expecting anyone, certainly not her. But there Susan Whitmore stood, holding a manila envelope like it was a passport to forgiveness. Her face was pale, her expression unreadable. "I'm the one who called the police," Susan said, voice barely above a whisper. "I think you already knew that." Denise didn't answer immediately. She kept the door halfway open, shielding Lily's world from another interruption. Her eyes narrowed. "Is that all you came to say?" Susan looked down, then held the envelope out with trembling hands. "There's something I need to explain. About Lily." Those words hit Denise like a cold wind through an open window. She reached for the envelope, slow and cautious, like it might bite. She opened it. Inside was the photo, a young woman on a hospital bed, tired eyes, newborn in her arms. "That's my sister," Susan said. Her name was Kendra. Denise didn't blink. She stared at the photo, then back at Susan. She was Lily's birth mother. Susan nodded. "She died 6 years ago. I wasn't allowed to take the baby. They told me I didn't meet the requirements, and I didn't fight it like I should have. When I saw your daughter on the sidewalk, I knew. I just knew." Denise let the silence settle. It wasn't shock she felt, it was anger masked by control. Susan had known. She'd recognized her niece. And still, she'd called the police. "And your instinct was to treat me like a kidnapper," Denise said slowly, her voice steady but razor-sharp. Susan winced. "I was scared. Or jealous. Or ashamed. I don't know. It was selfish, and I'm sorry." For a long second, Denise didn't move. Then, wordlessly, she opened the door wider. "Come in." They sat at the kitchen table without coffee, without small talk. Susan told the whole story, about the addiction, the court rulings, the letters she never sent, the sister she buried in a closed casket. "I thought I'd made peace with it. But when I saw her yesterday, I wasn't ready." "You could have said hello," Denise replied. "You could have knocked." "I know. You don't get to have her back," Denise said. "She's mine now. I'm her mother." Susan held up her hands. "I'm not trying to take her. I just wanted to be honest. And to say I'm sorry, to both of you." Denise looked at her long and hard. "Then say it publicly. The way you made this public." Susan swallowed hard. "Okay." That night, Denise watched Lily sleep, her small hands curled under her cheek. The photo Susan had left was on the counter, but Denise hadn't shown it to Lily yet. Maybe not for a long time. She knew how much power the truth held. But she also knew that not every truth had to be told all at once. Some truths required timing. Others required strength. And this one, this truth, would not define her daughter. Across the street, Susan sat at her computer. The screen blinked with an empty post box. She started typing. "I was the one who called. I was wrong. And I'm sorry." By Friday morning, Susan's apology post was up. No excuses, no spin. Just 12 simple words that echoed across timelines and news feeds. "I was the one who called. I was wrong. And I'm sorry." It didn't go viral. But it didn't need to. The neighbors saw it. The school parents saw it. The same people who once waved to Susan from behind garden hedges now walked past her house a little slower, with eyes that lingered a little longer. Some nodded. Some didn't. But the silence had changed. Accountability had entered the room. Denise didn't comment. She didn't share the post. She didn't text Monique about it. She just read it once and closed the app. That afternoon, a local journalist reached out, again. This time, Denise said yes. The interview was filmed in her backyard, Lily safely inside playing Uno with Monique. No lights, no makeup, no flashy intro, just a single camera, a folding chair, and a woman named Shelby with a notepad and soft questions. "I didn't want to be on the news," Denise said. "I just wanted to walk home with my daughter." She paused, hands folded in her lap. But when people think they can decide what a family should look like, based on color, or assumptions, or fear, someone has to say something. Shelby nodded but didn't interrupt. "My daughter is not a stranger's concern. She's not a threat. She's a little girl with messy hair and a big laugh who thinks squirrels steal sandwiches like they're in movies." Her voice cracked a little, but she didn't stop. "I carry papers with me everywhere I go, not because I don't belong, but because I know how easily people think I don't." That line made the final cut. It aired that evening during the 6 o'clock segment on WRL News. And by the next morning, the story had shifted. Emails poured in from adoptive parents across the country. Transracial families. Teachers. Social workers. Strangers. One wrote, "You said what I've lived every day for 10 years. Another read, "My daughter's black. I'm white. We get stared at everywhere. Thank you for your strength." Denise scrolled, overwhelmed. Not with pride, but with something deeper. A solemn clarity. Her story wasn't rare. It was routine. And that was the real tragedy. Outside, a small bouquet of sunflowers had been left at her doorstep. No note, just a card that read, "We see you. We're sorry." Denise didn't need the apology. But she accepted the gesture. That night, Lily curled up next to her on the couch and looked up. "Mom." "Yeah, baby." "Why did the police come that day?" The question sat heavy between them, like a sudden storm. Denise wrapped her arm around her daughter. "Because someone didn't understand who we are. And instead of asking or saying hi, they called people who scared us." Lily frowned. "That was mean." "Yeah," Denise said softly. "But sometimes people do mean things without meaning to. They just don't know better yet. Will they learn?" "I hope so." Lily nodded, thinking, then smiled. "Well, we're a team." Denise kissed her temple. "The best kind." The next day, Nash Square Park felt just like it always had, wide trees, bubbling fountains, and that one greedy squirrel with impeccable timing. Denise spread their picnic blanket. Lily giggled as the squirrel darted close again, snatching a crust mid-toss. That's when Denise noticed someone approaching slowly from across the street. Susan. Susan walked with her shoulders slightly hunched, her hands empty, her steps hesitant. There was no camera, no envelope, no audience, just her. Denise saw her coming. She didn't stand. Didn't wave. But she didn't turn away either. Susan paused a few feet from the blanket, keeping her voice soft. "I'm not here to bother you. I just wanted to say something," to her. Denise looked down at Lily, who had just finished folding a dandelion into a ring. She glanced up and blinked. "That's Miss Susan from the neighborhood, right?" Denise nodded once. "You remember her?" "Aha," Lily said, then turned her attention back to her flower ring. Susan crouched slowly, mindful not to intrude too closely. "Hi, Lily," she said gently. "I wanted to tell you something important. I made a mistake. A big one." Lily tilted her head. Susan continued, "I thought something bad when there was nothing bad at all. And I hurt your mom. That wasn't fair, and I'm really sorry." Lily looked up at her mom again. Denise gave her a small nod, calm and reassuring. "It's okay to say thank you," she said softly. "That's all you have to do." "Thank you," Lily said politely, then offered Susan the dandelion ring. "Here. You can have this one. I made another." Susan blinked quickly, a tear forming but not falling. "Thank you," she whispered, taking the tiny flower ring between her fingers like it was something sacred. Then she stood and turned to Denise. "You're doing a great job," she said. "I mean that." Denise met her gaze, measured, reserved, but firm. "Goodbye, Susan." It wasn't warm. But it was something. A boundary drawn in sand, not stone. Susan nodded once, then walked back across the street, her hands trembling around that fragile crown of petals. That night, after Lily went to bed, Denise sat on the couch alone with her laptop. She opened a blank document. At the top, she typed. "What it means to be a mother when the world tries to doubt you." And then she kept writing. She wrote about paperwork and playgrounds. About being followed in stores and questioned on sidewalks. About how love, no matter how fierce, still had to carry proof in a folder. Not because it wasn't real, but because others refused to see it. She wrote for every mom like her. Mothers who learned to smile through suspicion. To stay calm for the sake of their child. To keep receipts of their love just in case. Sometimes love isn't quiet, she wrote. Sometimes love has to speak up. She didn't know what she would do with the essay. Whether she'd post it or publish it or keep it for Lily one day. But she wrote it anyway, because the truth had already taken its first step into the light. And maybe, just maybe, it would help another woman exhale for the first time. Sometimes, being a parent means more than love, it means proof. It means patience in the face of ignorance. It means holding on to your child with one hand and your truth in the other. Denise never wanted to be a headline. But her story lit a fire under a conversation we all need to have. Because families don't need to match to be real. And love doesn't need to justify itself to be true. If this story moved you, subscribe to True Echo. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And tell us in the comments, what does family mean to you? Let's speak up. Let's be loud. Because silence never raised a child, but love has.